And good afternoon, Facebook fans. Thank you for tuning in today. We are so excited. It's ODDtober. That's right, ODDtober. ODDtober? What are you talking about, Tom? Well, ODDtober is our celebration of the wonderfully weird side of nature. Animals have cool adaptations or survival skills that allow them to do some pretty neat things, but they're a little bit on the weird side, and they're wonderful.
They're odd and wonderful, which is why you and I are doing this afternoon, Tom, is because you're odd and I'm wonderful.
With that, I'm going to show the person who's throwing me under a fun bus today. This is senior educator Julia Gregory, one of my favorite people at the Tennessee Aquarium because she is pretty wonderful, and I will admit I am a little bit on the odd side. So if you read the description to today's Facebook Live video, and please ask your questions in the comment box. Let us know where you're watching from. Tell us who you're watching with, and we'll try to give you a little bit of a shout out while we're doing this. So if you read the description, you know that we're talking about Aquatic Caecilians today, and they are sometimes known as rubber eels. But it's not an eel.
No, it's not a fish at all. If you'll indulge me, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you my tale about my personal experience with Caecilians. Now, you got to understand, I went to forestry school and I majored in wildlife management and biology, and I was 45 years old before I knew of the existence of a Caecilian. So we are going to save you that impoverishment. We are going to save you that embarrassment and introduce you to a Caecilian today. So I want everybody to just pause for a moment. If you're with someone, I want you to turn to your neighbor and answer this question. Is a Caecilian a fish, a reptile, or an amphibian?
Okay, so we have three choices there. It's fish, reptile, or amphibian. And while we're waiting for people to chime in here, let's say hello to Marina Ruiz. Let's say hello to Shannon Dennis and Joyce Geyser and Chad Kiker for watching. Damian Sharp, thank you for watching. And we've got folks from Nashville that are watching. We've got folks from all over the place. We appreciate you tuning in today. Gerald Bowman, thank you for watching. Is it a fish, a reptile, or an amphibian? What is an aquatic Caecilian? We already said it's not an eel because an eel is in a different kind of family, but they're sometimes called the rubber eel.
An eel is a fish, so I gave you that one.
All right, so we're checking that one off the list.
That's
now we're down to
right.
reptile or amphibian. What do you think? Who's got a guess here?
3, 2, 1.
All right, the big reveal, Julia.
The Caecilian is an amphibian. Now, I know your third grade teacher taught you that amphibians are frogs and salamanders, and he or she was absolutely correct. Those are amphibians that we have here in North America with us. But in the tropical regions of South and Central America, Asia, and Africa, they have an extra amphibian. They have a bonus amphibian, and you're looking at one of them. Now, we have aquatic amphibians because they're aquatic Caecilians, because they're much easier to get. We are able to breed them in human care, and they're easier to find out in nature than some of their terrestrial relatives that live underground. There's a fancy word for that, fossorial, or in the leaf litter of very wet forests, because being amphibians, their skins are what we call semi-permeable. That means that a lot of stuff will go through their skin. You know, we can absorb stuff through our skin too. That's why medication patches work. But the molecules that will go through our skin are very limited in terms of the natural world. Amphibians, they can take on practically anything through their skins, which is handy if you need to breathe underwater and you can't get to the surface. You'll notice this Caecilian surfaces regularly.
Just going to say, just got a little breath of air there just a second ago.
To take a breath of air. She does have one very functional lung. The other is there, but it's small, and she doesn't depend heavily on it. but she can also absorb a lot of the oxygen that she needs directly from the water in which she lives.
What's really cool about aquatic caecilians is sometimes people actually confuse them for earthworms. And if you look very closely here, and I think the camera will focus on there, you can see that there's almost segments like an earthworm.
They do look like segments, but what they are folds in the skin, very regular folds in the skin that give that rigidity look. That's a technical term, rigidity.
Rigidity.
And so they do look segmented. And of course, they don't have a very defined head. So especially in the aquatic Caecilian, her head and her tail look very similar. They're kind of the same shape. And sometimes she'll use her tail, pushing it backwards to kind of explore behind her. And so it can be confusing to tell which end is which.
Yeah. So I have to say that Drake Clark is someone who's right in line with my odd sense of humor because Drake said, "Oh, Caecilian, you're breaking my heart."
Absolutely. I wish he was here. I wish he was here to
Drake, we could do a trio. And
lend voice.
That is exactly, every time I think of Caecilians, that's what I think of, is that wonderful song. So.
All right. So while we're on the cultural value of Caecilians, I have a Caecilian joke, especially for ODDtober.
All right, here we go. Shoot.
Why do Caecilians always get invited to the Halloween parties?
That's a good question. We're going to leave that hanging in the air for a moment and see if anybody can come up with the answer. Julia is asking, why do Caecilians always get asked to the Halloween party?
Absolutely. You know what, Tom? I want to scoot her over a little bit more so that there's something light colored behind her head, or maybe let's turn her that way.
Yep.
So there's a little bit better contrast and folks can see her. Because her head is some of the most interesting part of her. If you see her from any distance, you think, oh, she has no eyes. She must be blind. She's not blind at all. She does not see acutely, as many animals do, but can perceive the difference between light and dark. She depends upon her sense of smell heavily to find her food. Now, it's not going to be hard for her to find her food here with us because we pour it right into her home with her. Now, this is not her home. This would be much too small for her to live in. She has a very large water enclosure in which we put different kinds of cover. She likes live plants, she likes PVC pipes, she likes them whole, and she likes them cut in half so that she can hide up under there, even stretched out. I think that's why she likes the PVC.
Yeah. And this is one of those containers that we use in programs. Again, under the current conditions, we can't do gallery programs because we want to make sure that people are staying physically distant while they're inside of our spaces. We still want to be very social and friendly and engaging with our guests whenever possible, but programs right now we're putting on pause until things are a little bit safer for everybody. We're certainly operating very safely for families, but we just don't want people to bunch together unnecessarily as they come through the aquarium and experience all of our animals and beautiful galleries. We want to make sure that we're pulsing them into the building and keeping them physically distant while they're here, enjoying the animals and exhibits. So this is a great time during the month of ODDtober. We have this series of Facebook Live events to kind of give you a taste of some of the programs that we would have been doing in our galleries during the month of October. And guess what? Coming up on Friday, we've got another one with octopus and cuttlefish, which will be another group of animals that'll be equally as interesting as the aquatic Caecilian that you're enjoying right now. So beady eyes, they have extreme good sense of smell, so those are wonderfully weird adaptations. Is this a nocturnal animal? Would this animal be one that would come out at night more?
Absolutely, yes. They are more active at night, we've discovered from keeping them. We don't come in at night a lot, but when we do, we can see that she's much more active, and others who take care of them report the same thing. Now, you're talking about our alternatives to programs in our galleries. When I was brushing up on this animal to get ready to be with you this afternoon, I discovered on our YouTube channel an absolutely fabulous video of the live birth of one of these animals. We've had them on exhibit for quite some time.
I am so glad you brought that up because I was the one who actually witnessed that. Our herpetologist called me and said, you got to get over here right now with a camera because a birth is happening. And when you go to our YouTube channel and you search for Aquatic Caecilian giving birth, you will come up with this video of one of the females actually giving birth. And what's really cool about these animals, and also wonderfully weird, is when they're born, they have external gills.
That's right. And they're not your average salamander external gills that just stick out a little way and look like they have little fingers. The gills on these young Caecilians look like practically like bridal veils streaming out behind them. It's amazing to me that they can get out of their mothers. Now, the cloaca on a female Caecilian is located just at the tip of the tail. Many, even the terrestrial, the fossorial Caecilians have a very, very short tail. And so the cloaca is right here. And that baby just popped right out of the end of her tail, trailing its veils behind it. It's those external gills. It's very interesting to see. I won't be a spoiler, but there are some tense moments at the end of that video. But in the end, no Caecilian was harmed in the making
right.
of that
I forgot
video.
about that. There is a wonderfully weird circumstance that pops up in that video. But what's interesting also about baby aquatic Caecilians is they have those external gills when they're first born. But guess what? When they go to the surface and get that first breath of air, then...
That's right. It's like magic. The gills fall off.
Yes. Now,
So
what an unbelievable adaptation. I
Uh-huh.
mean, you talk about something that's weird. That's something to be born with kind of external lungs, but then the first time you gulp some air, they drop right off.
Yep. So that's the wonderful part of the world, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so part 2 of the joke. Start over, give us the setup, and then what's the answer?
Why are Caecilians always invited to Halloween parties?
I don't think anybody's come up with the answer yet, so tell us.
Because they bring the best pizza.
I wasn't even expecting that. I was expecting something more animal related.
Sorry.
Aquatic Caecilians, where are they found? Where are they native to?
So this particular kind comes from Venezuela and Colombia. There are other aquatic Caecilians, and they occur throughout Caecilian range, which is those tropical forests of Central and South America, also Africa and Asia. But you've got to be tropical, and you've got to be wet, even for the terrestrial ones, because they have that amphibian skin. So just like our salamanders and our frogs, they have to have a moist environment. And it's ideal if they have access, especially the frogs, access to open water, because they drink through special glands in their legs.
Oh.
So they need to sit in a puddle to get a drink.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, well, that's just every day amongst the frogs. So that moisture is really, really important
All right,
to
so
amphibians.
I know it's not pizza, but you did bring a snack for the
I
Caecilian.
did.
What did you bring?
I did.
What is in the cup
Right
over here?
Let me show you. It's still fairly intact. This is a food that a lot of hobbyists buy for their fish or their small reptiles or amphibians if they live in water. And they're mysid shrimp. It's a little crustacean that is gathered up and frozen in blocks, and we knock off a little corner of the block. And this water in this little cup is from her home, so that we're not pouring foreign water into her home. So we scoop a little bit out of her home, and we drop in the block of frozen mysids. Here, if you want to show them again, I'll give them a little poke so that folks can get...
Yep, let me see if I can get that. There we go. We get a little bit of the light reflection.
So you get a little bit of a feel for the consistency. Right now they're still stuck together and they're rubbery. And I'm going to try and deliver them to her in a bunch because it seems to me, all right, this is always the hardest part of any program is getting the top off the box.
And that's a good thing because they're designed
secure.
Yeah, they're designed to be secure, so that's
Very
great.
secure.
So if anybody's watching with their children right now, ask them if they would like mysid shrimp for an after-school snack.
Shrimp cocktail.
Probably not, because this little cup here, I'm going to tip it just a little bit because we got a reflection there, has those tiny mysid shrimp in there.
Can you see their wee teeny
Yeah,
black beady eyes?
we just saw her blow some bubbles. I think she recognizes that cup and maybe getting a little bit excited about.
Maybe so. So I'm gonna submerge the cup in.
Now, does she climb in the cup? Tell us what's going to happen here. Is she going to climb in the cup, or should we just watch and see?
She is an animal. I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
It's always a surprise. I hope it's not going to be an unpleasant surprise, because as I lower her food, see, there's turbulence in the cup now, and I want to wait for it to kind of calm down.
Well, and you said
So
she has
I can
an
deliver
excellent
it.
sense of smell, so she is probably searching for
But
that.
her behavior, once she locates the food, is
I can see, look at that mouth
often
opening.
puzzling.
Woo! Look at that.
And I hope that you're in a position, ladies and gentlemen, to see the teeth, because for her size, her teeth are truly impressive. They're curved back toward her throat, as many animals have their teeth when they're grab and swallow predators, because they need their teeth to help hold the animals that they're eating in their mouths. That was really special to get to see her open her mouth and take a big bite of the mysids.
See, I wouldn't have thought that she had teeth because, frogs have a jaw, but they don't really have teeth. They've got ridges.
Yeah, they have ridges.
And
Ruffles have ridges, and it's good enough.
That's right. But that was really cool to see her open her mouth and grab some of those mysid shrimp. We're going to hopefully see that again, because I'll be honest with you, Julia, I've seen aquatic Caecilians being born. I've seen them swimming around and doing their Caecilian thing. I've never seen one eat before. This is pretty special.
Well, I hope that she will oblige us a little bit more. But she does this even when we feed her at home. I could make excuses for, oh, she's in a strange place and it's got her kind of rattled. But the fact is, number one, she's a pro. This is what she does for a living, is she gets in a box of water and goes and lets people look at her. But she does this in her enclosure. We put the food in, and she'll seem to find it, and you'll think, oh, surely she senses it now. And then she'll just go and thrash around all over the place. And she's opening her mouth at random along the back of the box now.
Yep, I see that. So I have a theory here, because it does seem like, maybe the water is helping to separate them and make them a little softer. So maybe she's just waiting until the oatmeal's soft enough to eat, so to speak.
Well, I promise it wasn't hard. It was rubbery.
No, we could tell when you were pushing down that it was, soft and rubbery, but it's coming apart, and, maybe she's, I think
she wants little bites.
Little bites, or, animals are pretty smart, sometimes smarter than we give them credit for, and there she goes and nibbles on some of it right there. And it looks like she's almost, kind of using her body and the motion of the water to separate that out a little bit, maybe making it bite-sized chunks.
Maybe so.
Look at that. So cool. All right, does anybody have any questions for Julia? If so, place them in the comments. We had really hoped to have a Donate Now button on this live stream. Unfortunately, it didn't pop up in the Facebook live feed today. We hope to do that again on Friday when we talk about octopus and cuttlefish. But we would love to have your support. You can go to our Donate Now button on the Tennessee Aquarium website if you'd like to, and help us out. Our extended closure earlier this year caused some financial hardships for us as a nonprofit organization, so we could still use the support, even though we have safely been welcoming guests back since June. And it's a great time to come to Chattanooga and visit, because the weather has been pretty spectacular. I know we're watching a tropical system that's going to be entering the Gulf of Mexico as we head through the rest of this week and into the weekend. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. But generally speaking, October is one of the best times of the year to be here in Chattanooga because, last year we had such hot, dry weather at the beginning of October that most of the leaves just turned brown and fell off. Now, we had one of the rainiest years on record this year, and all of the trees have plenty of leaves. So I think it's going to be a colorful season here in Chattanooga.
Well, and I'd like to remind everyone, even if we have rain this weekend, the aquarium has a roof.
That's
and
true.
It's in good repair.
That's
and
right.
if you would like to come and see us, you will stay perfectly dry when you are in our buildings with us.
That is a very good point, absolutely. And we've got a fun scavenger hunt for ODDtober. You can download that scavenger hunt worksheet on our website and bring it with you. Or when you arrive, we've got some QR codes at some strategic locations where you can snap a picture with your smartphone and it will pop up on your phone, and you can go through both buildings and try to decipher the secret code. And if you do, you'll get a small prize at our gift shops when you're completed. So something fun to do for ODDtober. Look at her working that ground. When she's doing this, Julia, I am reminded of Miguel Watson, our electric eel, and the way he thrashes and digs when he is feeding. And there you go. You can see her mouth working. There we go. Nom, 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 nom.
So maybe it's a result of her morphology, her body form, because they're both long, skinny creatures, both of them vertebrates. She looks like she's made of rubber, but she's a vertebrate. She has a spine, and she has ribs, and she just has lots and lots of them, which allow her this flexibility. So perhaps it's turn back on your own body and trap the food against yourself in order to get it in your mouth.
What's really fun about this is because of the texture of her skin, this reminds me of an elephant as well. It's almost like an elephant trunk, and I know you have, you've cared for elephants in the past.
I have.
You have a strong affinity for those animals, and don't you think there's a little bit of almost an elephant trunk-like?
Even right down to the skin folds. You're taking me back to my youth when I was strong and had stamina.
Look at her working it. It's like a living vacuum cleaner there. She's going to town, eating all that mysid shrimp that Julia has provided. This has been a lot of fun today. And if you have any questions, let us know. We're going to thank everybody for watching. I want to check the time here, Julia, because we want to be respectful of your time. We've got about 5 more minutes left. We've also tried to strategically place these Facebook Live events at 3:30 in the afternoon. So when you go and look at our schedule for the entire month, you can check that out. Our thinking was, back in the summer when we were doing a lot of Facebook Live events, we heard from some folks that when school got back in session, that maybe if we had something in the afternoon that people could enjoy when they're getting home from school. So even if your kiddos aren't back home from school yet, this will be posted after the live, and you guys can watch this together this evening if you would like. And guess what? We've been adding more material to our Aquarium at Home page. We now have the Turtle Interactive games that were produced for our new Turtles of the World gallery. And again, because of the current conditions, we didn't want to have any touch experiences. So we have digitally used the magic to get those on our website, and you can check that out. Fun, because you learn about turtles, you learn about turtle habitats. You can become a turtle hero by playing one of those games, and you can paint your own turtles. We've got some turtle coloring pages that are pretty cool. And so you want to check that out on our website at tnaqua.org. And she is, look at her, not quite ravenous, but she is doing a good job of making those mysid shrimp disappear.
Well, she's only fed about this much twice a week because it's easy to overfeed aquatic animals. And one of the dangers is that if they don't eat everything and the food is left to decompose in the water, it makes the water foul. For fish, nitrogen is the difficulty. And for amphibians, it's just not clean and not healthy. Her enclosure is cleaned at least once a week. And so we don't like to leave a lot of food sitting in it. I will pour the rest of this meal for her into her regular home with her so that she can perhaps have leftovers for a late night snack.
It occurs to me that we can have some more fun with this at home, and this would just thrill us if you would try this. But look at the way she's eating. Look at the way she's moving around there. I'm going to turn that just a little bit so you can see. I would love to see somebody make an aquatic Caecilian sock puppet and show us your aquatic Caecilian sock puppet for ODDtober. If you would take a picture of it and send it in, we would love to show that off to our Facebook fans. That might be a fun craft project after you get excited watching this very cool animal, and after you go to our YouTube page and see the aquatic Caecilian giving birth. Maybe somebody would like to try making a cool aquatic Caecilian sock puppet craft. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be. What do you do with all those old cruise socks if you don't make puppets with them anyway?
Yeah, look at
Well,
her.
if you want to make your sock puppet very realistic, you're not going to like this suggestion. The first one's not too bad. These animals have what's called a lateral line. Hers is almost impossible to see, but trust me, she has one, just like a fish, that allows her to feel pressure changes in the water so that she knows what's around her, whether it's something she should run away from or something that she might be able to eat. And she can judge that. The lateral line is a very sensitive organ that allows her to judge the size and speed of a thing so that she can make that crucial decision. The other thing that she has on her body that might not be quite so much fun in a sock puppet is a slime layer. A lot of amphibians have a slime layer. Although I will say there are some fascinating recipes for gack that might go well on the outside of a slime puppet. And I hope that now there are no parents who hate me.
You could take this project to another level by adding slime, which reminds me of another creature that's similar a little bit, the hagfish, another slimy, eel-like, cool creature.
I think the hagfish is actually a fish, though. So you need to stop talking about fish because this is an amphibian.
Well, they're all wonderfully weird creatures, and this has been a delight, Julia, to spend some time here behind the scenes at the Tennessee Aquarium, in the River Journey building, taking a look at our aquatic Caecilian today, a creature that I think on display gets overlooked far too often, and it's really worth a little bit of your time to slow down and during the year of the turtle take the tour at a turtle's pace.
At a turtle's pace.
And
That's
really,
good advice.
really look at all the exhibits and see some of these wonderfully weird animals that you'll meet only right here at the Tennessee Aquarium.
I will say in defense of guests who may have missed the Caecilians like to stay entwined around the plants in their exhibit, and the plants are pretty thick so that they'll be comfortable and not feel exposed. So it's a small exhibit. So when you see a small exhibit with a lot of green stuff in it, start looking for the Caecilians entwined in that vegetation.
All right, we had a lot of people watching from all over the place. We thank you so much for tuning in today. Charity, thank you for watching from Orlando, Florida. We appreciate you. And Alan, Brian, and Tony, thank you for watching. Also, Brian and Mary Howard, thank you for watching. And it's just great to be able to bring some of these wonderful creatures to your location in the times in between we get the chance to meet you face-to-face here at the Tennessee Aquarium. Again, we're back open. We've been open since June, and we're safely welcoming guests back to not only the Tennessee Aquarium, but also Tennessee Aquarium IMAX 3D Theater. And we've got all kinds of information on our website. We hope to see you this fall. Hope to see you during the month of ODDtober. And join us again 3:30 Friday afternoon for another Facebook Live event. This time, we're going to take you behind the scenes to meet octopus and cuttlefish. Cephalopod Day.
That's right.
Check
it's
it
sure
out.
to please.
It is. And as we roll this out, I think we need to sing everybody out. Caecilians.
You're breaking my heart.
Da,
Da, da,
da,
da,
da,
da,
da, da.
Never had to learn the lyrics to that
Okay,
one.
we'll have to come up with some lyrics for Aquatic Caecilians. Thank you for tuning in today. Hope you have a great rest of the week. We'll see you again 3:30 p.m. on Friday.